We are going to be using the mix shader to combine two textures in order to create this. Let's get started. It's not that difficult to create a perfect metal in Blender. All you really need is you pump up the metallic to full and you just take down the roughness. Then you set the color of the metal to, whatever color you want. Oh my god, this looks so pretty. All right, but what if you want some sort of imperfections on your metal? What if you want there to be, some damaged bits here and there? So that's why we use a mix shader. We are going to combine these two shaders together. So this by itself is actually really simple to make. I'll tell you how exactly as well. But first of all, let's talk about the mix shader. What it does is it combines these two shaders together depending on a factor. So if the factor is like around 0.5, then it'll combine them evenly. As you can see, there's like very minor things over here. But if the factor is say 1, it'll just use this one. If it's 0, it'll just use this one. How do we tell the renderer what number, like what value of the factor to use? We use this over here, this color ramp. Just plug that into the factor and it will combine both of them according to this map over here. So the blacks and the whites over here correspond to a value of 0s and 1s respectively. This is the actual, texture part where we're just using texture coordinates and we're gonna map it so that the noise texture actually knows where to go. If you don't plug it in, it'll still work because by default, I believe it does use the generated one. Yeah, it does. But we want to use the object, but you can still use the generated one as well. There's no harm in just removing both of these because these are procedural textures as well. So then we have a noise texture and there are some important details over here. So let me just look at the shader. The detail bit over here, if you pump it up to max, then it'll be, just brushed, sort of like just aging. And if it's 0, then it's more damaged. And the scale is important as well. You cannot actually pump up the scale because it will turn your texture into some of this. This is nice for ceramics, but it's not really nice for metals because with ceramics, you can just change the colors over here and it would actually look really nice. That might actually be another video. And over here for the distortion, it's a similar tale. But what if you want, a different variant over here? Well, for that, you can just change this to 40 and the W over here corresponds to the variation of like in the 4th dimension, sort of. If you don't understand 4D, then don't worry about it. Just changing this W will get you a different, combination of things. Okay, and then we pass it through a Musgrave texture. So on its own, the Musgrave texture does this thing. You can still use this as well. This doesn't actually look bad, but we want it to be more randomized. So that's why we put the noise texture into the scale of the Musgrave texture over here. The things for Musgraves are also important because it seems like even minor changes will just completely destroy your, what's it called? Yeah, your texture. And the color ramp over here, all this does is I'm just trying to, make the blacks darker and the whites, whiter. If I don't actually use a color ramp, if the white is all the way here and the black is all the way here, this is basically equivalent to not using a color. This is basically equivalent to not using a color ramp at all. But we will use a color ramp. So what we do is we just pull it closer to each other so that the differences, like the difference between the two bits, are more sharper and they're not like over time like this. Anyway, we actually want more of this anyway. So there you go. That is this texture and that's pretty much it for this video. I'll be making a ton of these, so like, subscribe. Yeah, I'm kind of back to making these videos. I was gone for a very long while. Thank you guys for watching and goodbye.